Well, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today to celebrate the end of an era and tip off yet another era. Steve Fisher is a legend in San Diego and NCAA basketball as a whole. As a head coach, he's patrolled the sideline for 26 seasons, 18 of those here on the Mesa. He's accumulated 570 victories, 22 postseason appearances, 15 NCAA appearances, 3 Final Fours, 2 National Coach of the Year, and 1 NCAA title. And for every one of those accolades mentioned, Brian Dutcher has been on the bench playing a key role. Steve led Sdsu basketball to unprecedented heights, conference championships, NCAA tournament appearances, player and coaching accolades too numerous to detail. He helped turn Viejas Arena into the sporting venue to be at in San Diego. The Jeff Jacobs Jam Center sits next door to us and is a testimony to the success of Steve and the teams that he's had. That building would not be here today without the success of Steve Fisher and the staff and teams he assembled over 18 years. More importantly is the man, friend, mentor, husband, father, grandfather. He's been a teacher all of his life, beginning at Rich East High in Park Forest, Illinois, through today at San Diego State. He's mentored countless young men, both players and coaches who have gone on to success in basketball, but also success in life. I'm fortunate to have had the opportunity to work with Steve for over 5 years. He's a great coach. He is a legend, but he's a better person. When my wife Rachel was pregnant with Scarlett, it never failed that the first thing Steve asked when he saw me was, "How was Rachel doing?" And it was genuine and it was sincere concern for me and my family. He cares. And you saw this in how he handled his players, coaches, support staff, and others throughout the department, the campus, and the community. While Steve will no longer be on the bench, he is an Aztec for life. In keeping with that notion, Steve will continue to play a role within the department and university as a whole that allows him to continue growing the connection between San Diego State and the greater community. I'm excited that he and Angie will have plenty of time to spend together, as well as with Jay, Mark, Jill, and most importantly, young Max. Steve Fisher.
Thank you, J.D. Thank you, J.D. I'm going to start by dispelling any thoughts. I know rumors run rampant, and I got my health. My mind has always been questioned, but I have my health. And this was done, and those who I have worked with, starting with Dutch, but every coach that we've hired, every player that we've had, they know that I'm pretty meticulous, and sometimes they say I take forever to make a decision. And what Angie and I have done over the course of our last 3 or 4 years, and I've said this, and it's not been phony, it's been a fact that we're going to take some time, decompress, take a deep breath, go to Florida, sit on the porch, and together make a decision. And this year, we made the decision. We made the decision before we go to Florida. We're going to go now in May, because there's still a lot on my plate that I'll be doing, but it was done for all the right reasons. I know that the program is in great, great hands with Brian Dutcher, and it will flourish. So that makes me feel good. What I want to do now a little bit, and Angie's not here and Mark's not here, and Mark says, I don't want to let him see me cry twice. And if there are any tears, they should be tears of joy, because very few times do people in any walk of life have the privilege to go out on their terms, feeling good about themselves, and the vast majority of those that they have worked with and for feeling the same way. And I do know that that's the sentiment. I'm going to have some role. I'm not exactly sure, and I don't think J.D. or President Hirschman or our next president know exactly what it will be. But I'm not going to all of a sudden disappear from the landscape. I'm not going to be in the way, but I'm going to be a part of San Diego State. And that's important to me. And I want to be here. And there's something to be said for wanting to be where you're wanted. And I feel that. I'm going to take probably too much time for most of you, but I'm gonna jump from chapter to chapter about my own journey. And I've talked to our players, and I appreciate the fact, sometimes we talk about having forced fun. I asked them to be here. We won't take roll and find out who's not here, but I appreciate the fact that we've got the vast majority of our team and our coaches who are here today to be a part of what truly is a celebration of where we've come from, where we are, and where we can close our eyes and say we're going to. What we do is more than coach basketball. We're teachers, and that's what I've always aspired to be. My dad was my first coach. He and my junior high coach shaped and allowed me to say, this is what I want to do. Way, way back when I was 15 years old, I knew that I was going to be a teacher and a coach. My high school yearbook, you know what they have. Nickname, Fish, likes, psychology and trig, dislikes, getting up in the morning, plans to be teacher, coach. If you go to the yearbook for Heron High School in 1963, that's what it will say. So I knew what I wanted to do. I'm doing what my dad wanted to do. World War II, 4 kids, a house and a mortgage prevented him from doing what I have the privilege to do. And I know it's a privilege to do it. How you get where you wind up, it's sometimes, it's not planned. And all of us close our eyes and dream, and we dream about a perfect road that'll get us from point A to where we want to end up. And it doesn't work that way. There are twists and turns and things that happen along that journey that get you there or get you where you're going to wind up for a whole variety of reasons. We have a group of players here that all have hopes and dreams and aspirations. And for some of us that are a little older, we can remember back when we said, this is what I aspire to do. We have that with our program, with our team. And we said, close your eyes and dream big. And then help turn dreams into reality. But we've also talked to them about enjoy the journey. So often we get caught up in where we want to go and wind up that we forget to take time to take a deep breath and enjoy the process and the journey. I would say that again to our players. Enjoy the journey. Don't get ahead of yourself. Don't get too caught up in where you want to go. You've seen it in your own line of work. I've seen it in young coaches that they're so in a hurry to go from a young graduate to an assistant coach to a head coach to their first head job to their first high major head job without taking time to enjoy where they are at the time. I've been lucky enough to have traveled a whole lot of different avenues to get where I wound up. I started as a coach at Rich East High School, Suburban Park Forest, southernmost suburb of Cook County. I'm a Southern Illinois guy. I never thought that I would go further than Bloomington Normal, where I went to college. I was planning on going to Belleville, Illinois, very close to St. Louis. That was my comfort zone. All of them spoke like I did, with a bit of a southern drawl, like J.D. does. And then I had befriended a guy when I was in college, Les Whitkey. who called me up and he said, I just took the job at Rich East. You're going with me. And I went with him. I trusted him. And we were together 3 years. I became the head coach. I was 11 years a high school coach. Never, ever thinking that I would leave. Never wanting to leave. I never had a resume until I got fired. I didn't have a resume. I was, in my day, graduating from college, they hired you from, they went on campus and they hired teachers. So I didn't have a resume. In 1979, March of 79, young Mark Fisher was born in November of 78. We bought our first home. My rut's getting deeper and deeper at Rich East High School. I don't want to go anywhere. The same guy, Les Whitkey, says, pack your bags. We're going to Western Michigan. I had no desire to go to Western Michigan. Within 24 hours, I was at Western Michigan. I took half pay. I gave up. I went there and it took half the pay that I was making. Angie had no job. We were both teachers. If Mark tried to do that on his first job, I would have chained him to the bedpost and not let him do it. But I did it because I trusted and loved Les Whitkey. 3 years later, Bill Frieder, who's in the audience now. Bill Frieder, who I met when he was a high school coach at Flint, Michigan, winning state championships, and I was a high school coach in Illinois. And he picked up the phone. He said, pack your bags. You're coming to Ann Arbor. Never planned. I think so often we get caught up in the process that we don't appreciate kind of my theme, the journey of where you're going to go. And I've had the privilege to have some wonderful, wonderful mentors in my life. I talked about my dad. I talked about my junior high coach. I talked about Les Whitkey, and I'll talk about Bill Frieder, that believed, that trusted, that made you feel a part of what was going on. And I learned a great deal. What happened to me at Michigan always happens to someone else. Bill left, accepted the Arizona State job. They didn't let him coach the team. I inherited the national championship team. And 3 weeks later, I went from that nondescript coach that half the people in Michigan did not have a clue who he was to a guy that's going to the White House, staying all night at the White House. Went to a state dinner for the Prime Minister of Israel. I looked around nervously to see my table. It was table 1. Barbara Bush was at my table. To my right, Bob Hope. To my left, Audrey Hepburn. Bob Hope jumped up and he said, Steve Fisher, the Walter Mitty of college basketball. I watched every game. And literally 3 weeks before, half the people in Ann Arbor didn't know who I was. Life is strange, and it has a lot of twists and turns, and you never know what that next turn is going to be. In 1975, Angie and I had been married in August of 74. 1975, I made my first trip ever here to San Diego. It was John Wooden's last national championship. Played at the sports arena. I stayed at the biggest hotel in town, the Town and Country. That's where all the coaches stayed, 1975. Lee remembers before the big downtown stuff were. Cy remembers. I called Angie. I had to find a payphone to call her. I said, you are not going to believe what this city is like. Let's save and let's see if we can get enough money to vacation here sometime. Never knowing that all of a sudden we would wind up being a part of the city. And for 18 years, we've been a part of this community with great pride, knowing that it's a privilege to be here, knowing that it's a responsibility to be here, knowing that you have young guys that you you have to practice what you preach when you go into homes and say we will treat them like family. And we've attempted to do that on every piece of the journey. I've had the good fortune to have Brian Dutcher right next to me the whole time. Bill hired Brian in 1988, I believe it was. And with the exception of the one little interlude when I was gone to Sacramento with the Kings, Dutch and I have been together since 1988. That doesn't happen in any walk of life, and it never happens in athletics. And it's happened with us. We're a great team. I'm proud of that fact. We've got a great group of coaches who are here today. We've got coaches that have gone on to other jobs that are all proud of the legacy that we've all helped shape and create at San Diego State. When I came here, when I was introduced at San Diego State, the first thing I talked about was where I came from. And I said, if I'm 3 or 5 years from now talking about the Fab Five in the first paragraph, we're not doing a very good job here. When I go to the Final Four now, when I went to Phoenix this year, I had people come up and say, Fish, I love the job you guys are doing at San Diego State. Fish, tell me about Kawhi Leonard. Tell me about what he did for the Aztecs. That's my legacy. San Diego State is my legacy. I'm proud of every step along the way in my journey, but I'm an Aztec. And when people say, where do you live? With pride, San Diego. What do you do? I'm a San Diego State Aztec. I'm a teacher and a coach at San Diego State. I'm always going to be that. What I would like to close in saying is our journey here. We had a dream and a vision, and we're 18 years here. And our seniors, Trey and Malik, were little kids at that time. When Trey and Malik came to San Diego State, they came for a reason. They came because they saw what San Diego State had become, and they wanted to be a part of it. They wanted to come in and help grow a tradition that now all of us are immensely proud of. I burst with pride when I talk about the championships we've won and the banners we've hung, but I'm most proud of the people that we've had the privilege to coach. DJ Gay is here today also. Skylar Spencer is here today also. These are really the fruits of our labor and the key to the legacy that we've had and what make us most proud. Tony Bland. Tony Bland won the first postseason game for San Diego State at Division I level. I'll never forget, we're playing Santa Barbara, first round of the NIT. Tony, who never saw a shot that he wouldn't take, had the ball at the end of the game and was not about to give it up and twist and turn and hit a basket to win our first ever game. To our first ever NCAA tournament win. Randy Holcomb called me last night. And with pride and tears in his voice, he said, there's never a decision that I make that I don't say, what would Steve Fisher want me to do? That's much more important than the banners that we've got hung and all of the accomplishments. I'm smart enough to know that if we had gone 5-23 for 4 straight years, there would be no Randy Holcomb. There would be no banners to be hung, and there would be no Steve Fisher. So I'm smart enough to know that. But the real pride that I take is in the guys that we've had, the players we have now, the young men that we have now, and the influence that we've had on lives. That makes us feel good. They come back. They come back and they want to be a part of what we're doing. So it's never black and white in terms of timing or rarely is it black and white in terms of this is absolutely positively what you have to do. You make decisions, and then you make your decisions work. You don't look back, you look forward, and you make your decisions work. I will never, ever second guess, did I do it too soon? Did I do it? I did it at the right time for me. Angie and I will be the greatest fans in America for Jan and Liza and Aaron and Brian as this program moves forward to bigger and better things. I'm positive that that's going to happen. Brian Dutcher is the son of a coach. He's grown up in the game. He knows the business. He's got phenomenal people skills, and he will do a magnificent job. When I talked to the team yesterday, and I'm going to end with this, I told them that, I said, driving to pick up Mark today, I had a feeling of confidence that the right decision had been made, and a feeling of sadness that I wasn't going to be there on the sideline to coach them, but the right kind of sadness. And I told them, I damn well better have a piece of that net when you cut it down next year, and I better have a ticket to the tournament when we go, because I'm going to be there side by side. I'm retiring from coaching. I'm not retiring. Frieder had the best line when he said to Mark Ziegler, he's going to have so much on his plate and to do, he's going to have to retire from retirement. So I'm looking forward to the next chapter. I'm always going to be here, though. I'm going to be like that bad penny and bad uncle. You're not going to get rid of me too quickly. I'll be here in any way, shape, or form that the Aztec needs me. And again, Angie and I and Mark and Jill and their little guy Max and our other son Jay know that we have traveled a great road and a journey that we can look back on with great pride, and we're very, very excited about what that next chapter holds, not only for us, but for Brian and his family in the future of San Diego State basketball. I know it's going to be fantastic. I thank you guys for coming. You've made our journey so much more than it could have been. I see John Kolick in the distance. He's just retiring now. And I told him, so now I can hold true to my promise. I said, I might go out with you. So, John, I'm going to go out right out with you, and we'll both be back to watch the Aztecs play many, many games. So, once again, thank you all for coming. I'll turn it back over to JD, and we appreciate all of you. Go Aztecs.